Amidst this surge in detention, conditions have gone from bad to worse.
The immigration enforcement policies have hurt our ability to attract this sort of investment in our country to produce American jobs.
Under any kind of moral, ethical, medical, or religious principles, this is disgraceful.
I find it unacceptable to see the levels of death in those institutions, the inadequate inspections and oversight of detention facilities. We can't even get into these detention facilities.
They wouldn't let any of us in, so we didn't have a chance to even see him there.
Immigration detention facilities is the infliction of mass institutionalized suffering against hardworking people, most of whom, as has been pointed out, have no criminal records.
Last week when I was there, I spoke to a group of women who showed me hives on their bodies because of how unhygienic the situation is.
This is a grotesque failure of governance. It is cruelty cloaked in bureaucracy.
I was blocked at the door despite naming and detailing the law that grants me and all members of Congress access to these facilities.
I mean, they didn't even really acknowledge my request to go visit that detention center immediately, and I still have not gotten a response from them.
No one knows for certain if these men are actually there, and no attorneys have been able to contact them because DHS won't disclose their names and locations.
Detainees are being held in facilities inappropriate for their medical conditions and needs.
It's unconscionable that immigrants, human beings in my community or any community across the country are forced to stay in such conditions.
The impact of ICE in our communities is being felt in ways that we never had before.
Ismail experienced delays in care that ultimately cost him his life as he awaited the surgery that could have saved him.
Dozens of women inside the facility now about everything that you described: lack of water, lack of medical care, racist, inhumane treatment, abuse.
ICE is saying they're picking up criminals, but they are not. They're picking up people caught in a broken immigration system that is purposely broken by Republicans who want to wage war on immigrants.
What kind of country is this, that representatives can't go see their constituents? They can't be the eyes and ears of what's happening in all these privately run detention centers.
The denial of bond is one of the reasons that we have more people in detention right now who should not be there at all.
We do not want this in our communities. We do not want our people to be suffering in our communities so that a corporation can profit off of us.
Pregnant women have been shackled during miscarriage, solitary confinement, denial of prenatal care, and medical procedures performed without consent.
This is what's happening with our money, with our tax dollar money, with no oversight.
And the community that they deserve. I also want to thank my staff. You all know it's the staff that dot the I's, cross the T's, get things together. So will my staff raise your hand? Raise your hand. I mean, these guys are exceptional. They come in weekends, weeknights, and put what the energy and effort that it takes to serve our communities, because they have
I think we have to keep that public pressure up. I would hope that at some point Congress would be willing to subpoena it to basically force them to release it. But that's going to be difficult with the Republicans in the majority in the House and the Senate. But we are going.
Donald Trump had the unmitigated gall yesterday to rate the economy an A+, 5 times over. Working class Americans, everyday Americans, hardworking American taxpayers are struggling in the Trump economy to live paycheck to paycheck. Can't thrive, can barely survive. Cost of living is completely and totally out of control. Donald Trump.
I think that Donald Trump is determined to help Putin. If he walks away, it won't be much different than what he's done to date, which is to walk away from doing anything to help Ukraine, not sending any American dollars there, simply being willing to provide weapons for Europeans to buy to provide to the Ukrainians. There is valuable intelligence that we provide Ukraine, and his walking away, if it means cutting off intelligence and giving them less ability to protect themselves from these attacks by Putin on civilians, that would be harmful.
I strongly believe that Section 230 has long outlived its use, and it is now a real vessel for evil that needs to come to an end.
So President Trump is acting with his core Article 2 powers. No serious legal expert would doubt that the president has authority to blow narco-terrorists out of the water who are poisoning 100,000 Americans every year. If you watch
toward greater public safety, because no one should die as a result of a no-knock warrant. No one should fear that at any moment law enforcement could enter their home unannounced. No parent, like Tamika Palmer, should be forced to endure the grief of losing a child to a system that failed her. Breonna's life mattered, and her story demands action. It is
our country's national parks receive hundreds of millions of visitors each year. In 2024, over 8 million visitors came to our national parks in Wyoming. Folks travel from across the world to enjoy the great American outdoors, and for many families, these memories last a lifetime.
But it is not yet clear how these strikes are helping to advance that important objective. It's also not clear why the president would just a few days ago pardon a Honduran narco trafficker who is directly responsible for bringing 400 tons of drugs into the United States of America. How is that?
The atrocities in Sudan are not just a foreign tragedy. I have been hearing from Sudanese Iowans who have families in Sudan.
Rural communities across the country and in New Mexico know this story well. In Catron, Grant, Sierra, and Otero counties, in my district, national forests define our landscape, and they define who we are. Today, we're sending a clear message to rural communities across New Mexico and across the country that they are not invisible, not expendable, and not expected to bear the weight of this lapse alone. The Senate.
He's been the inflation president. Now we're learning he's the great inflation president by giving his economy an A++, when I would say, to be charitable, incomplete. But
living, and in particular to focus on housing. We need millions of new homes in California and around the country. There's just no way to solve the housing crisis without building a lot more housing.
The primary law governing federal support for Indian housing is the Native American Housing Assistance and Self-Determination Act of 1996, and this authorizes the Indian Housing Block Grant, among other critical programs.
By making these international tax provisions permanent and encouraging new domestic investment, we will lower costs for families, supporting stronger supply chains, and increase U.S. production, and provide millions of new high-paying American jobs. These permanent